world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
You know you need fiber for a healthy gut, but do you actually know how to get it? Quaker's been serving up fiber since 1877, with over 100 great-tasting, good source of fiber options to choose from. Whether you like old-fashioned oats, instant oatmeal, granola, or oatmeal squares, Quaker makes it delicious. So good. Get your fiber with Quaker. Shop Quaker's good source of fiber products at a store near you.
Tony, Jeremy, have you ever heard of Dukes of Hazzard, the television show? Is that something that you're familiar with in any way?
Yeah, there's a car. They drive around in the car. There's Daisy Dukes.
Short shorts?
Right.
Say Drewski.
Just the good old boys.
General something? General something?
From like the 40s.
Well, I'll tell you what General was. It wasn't one on the winning side.
Stars and bars.
The General Lee is what the name of the car was. You guys want to guess at the height of that show's popularity? Because I was just thinking about this weekend because I had not realized that this show was this popular. It was the first television show that I watched with any regularity back when there were only 3 networks and it was on Friday night. You laugh, you think I'm the only one watching. 1 in 3 American televisions were tuned into that show. It was 40 million people were watching that show at its height. What is the closest thing today that could come to that that's not the Super Bowl? Like what exists anywhere in our fractured television landscape that would come close to being even half that?
NFL Week 7.
Marlins baseball.
Yeah, okay. Any serious answers? Because sports, outside of sports, is there such a thing? Is that time...
K-pop Demon Hunter.
Is that thing so dead? Is that time so dead that it's not possible given... Like, what is the most watched television show right now? Because you have to appeal to everybody with network television, with free television. It almost can't be a streaming show because there are too many people in the country that don't have money and just have the regular channels.
Right. Like, you basically described it. We'll never have TV show ratings like that again for TV shows because there used to be 3 networks. And that's it. And you either watch it or you turn the TV off. And now there's just, beyond how many channels and how many streaming platforms there are so many more entertainment. I mean, look, if I'm on YouTube or if I'm on TikTok or Instagram, I'm not even consuming produced content.
But if you had to choose a modern day equivalent of, because Game of Thrones felt a little bit like this, and that people had to watch it live, didn't want to watch it 3 days later. It was sort of appointment viewing. But I think HBO still, even Max, I think it's still too much premium television. What would be the thing today that would pass for what it is that was? And what would that number be? It's not even 10 million, right? The Walking Dead had some of this. Yellowstone had some of this. But it wouldn't even be 10 million, correct? It wouldn't even be a fourth of what it is I'm talking about.
The Bluey episode with Mickey Mouse that was a crossover.
Big. Yeah, that's big.
I think it had like 10 million viewers.
Beats all you ever saw, got in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
So they were getting chased around by somebody? Like, what was the story?
They ran out of storylines, really, very early.
I can explain it pretty easily, Tony. They were in a small town in rural Georgia, and they were kind of like good-natured, mischievous guys. They get in trouble, but not any real trouble. And they would kind of solve some mysteries and stuff, but also there's a guy in town called Boss Hog. He's kind of the boss hog of town. He didn't like them. And their cousin, Daisy,
Jessica
worked at
Simpson.
a bar. Yeah, there you go.
Did you see, Tony? Did you ever see Smokey and the Bandit? It was all playing off of that conceit.
No, did not see that conceit.
Boy, we are playing young today.
Purdue was a number 1 seed as
Kirk Cousins look like J.C. Penney.
Looks like it's back, Jack. It's bracket time, so make a chart. Does Jeff Van Gundy look just like the Queen of Hearts? Does Adam Silver look like a torpedo bat? Let's get March Sadness back on track. Looks like it's back, Jack. When the donuts are in front of you, does Andy Reid say, don't mind if I do? Adam Silver looks like a Q-tip thing, or frying a bag of onion rings. When Timmy laughs until he hacks, that's how you know that looks like his back, Jack. Let me hear you say, looks like his back, Jack. Let's keep on doing it every year. So Advert says, Mr. Bond, welcome to Tangier. Jeff Fisher looks like shotgunning beers at a NASCAR track. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Looks like his back, Jack.
Northwestern is gone from the tournament.
Jim Harbaugh looks like a casket salesman.
Fairleigh Dickinson, 16 seed, repped by
Mike McDaniel looked like a college student on a full ride scholarship for esports.
What a run.
Looks like his back, Jack.
Put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. Is there anything better in the history of sports than Duke choking? And I think it goes for the entirety of my lifetime. Like, Alabama's a bit of a Johnny-come-lately in football. Duke, 20 years before that. Before Nick Saban, before Alabama football, 20 years before that, everybody was rooting for Duke to choke. That team is good enough. It should be unbeaten. Like, that team shouldn't have lost a game this season. That team has 2 unfathomable losses on its resume. The same. North Carolina did the same thing to them that UConn just did, where UConn's 1 for 18 from 3 and wins a game. Because they go whatever it was, 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 from 3 at the end after starting 1 for 15. But I mean, you're a veteran sports observer. Give me something that American sports fans enjoy more than Duke specifically choking, not just losing, right. Choking up and down. You can put the pictures up of John Shire. You can put the pictures up of stunned people because you do not expect that game to go that way. Braylon Mullins became a household name and became a household name for all time for taking that shot. A team, again, that started 1 for 18 from 3. What would you guys nominate for things that American sports fans enjoy more than Duke choking?
The Cowboys doing anything bad. Anytime anything bad happens to the Cowboys, everyone takes great delight.
Man, I think Duke is even bigger and badder because the Cowboys, for all that they are, they don't give off we're smarter than you. They may give off, the fan base may give off we're better than you, but not we're smarter than you.
Yankees choking. When the Yankees choked in 2004, that was like world-renowned, thank God the Yankees choked.
Again, good nominees, but no school or no entity has what this thing does, which is an elitist... we're more educated than the people who are rooting for our demise.
Nobody's better than our idea.
The old, you're going to work for us one day or whatever, right? That's the crowd that Duke has. I'm trying to think. No, I don't know.
I see the game you're playing. Harvard.
Yes, it's the same. Yes, it's
Yale.
If Harvard were good at sports, that's what it is. If Harvard were good at sports, and they gave off that they were smarter than you, and at the end you're making fun of them because they look like they're not smarter than you. At the end there, when you've got two people down the court, two Duke Blue Devils down the court, you legitimately could have just thrown the ball up straight in the air toward one of them, and you would have had a better result than the one that you had.
Dan, let me ask you this question, because you are obviously the elder statesman in the room. My memories of Duke start with Grant Hill and Christian Laettner, and that's where I learned to hate them. Really, Christian Laettner is what we're talking about. Pre-Christian Laettner, did people hate Duke like that?
It was J.J. Redick, Christian Laettner, Gene Wojciechowski, the slapping of the court. Steve, excuse me. Yeah, Gene was the ESPN guy.
Yeah, I didn't hate this Duke team all that much. I can't really put my finger on why exactly, but perhaps it's because they're lacking the annoying white guy. I just love that we really showed Duke a lesson with those kids from Connecticut.
That's a good point. All those stores, have you ever been to stores?
Sadly.
Like, Tony, explain what stores is like, because people think Connecticut and think, oh, yeah.
They think Greenwich.
Country clubs, Greenwich.
It's like not Greenwich.
Sweaters around your shoulder, and let's go play some tennis, and all. That's not what stores is like.
I love, the state of Connecticut. I had a great time there. When you get to Hartford, you hear Hartford, you're like, oh, wow. And then you get there, you're like, oh, wow. Ugh. And the stores, not much better.
Do you know how hateable you have to be as a franchise for people to like that Dan Hurley won?
Yes. That's a good point.
I was so excited to watch Dan Hurley have to react to Duke's whistle, and that delivered immediately. I saw a video of him going head-to-head, not figure. Someone help me out with that word. It was
figuratively. It was literally. It was literally.
It was a NASCAR Sunday, so I don't want to venture too deep into that word. But yeah, he went head to head with an official. I've never seen that before. He was pushing his forehead into the Stripes' forehead, kind of like telling him, like, where's that Duke whistle right now?
Dan Hurley was overjoyed, and he's done enough winning recently that I don't believe too many people outside of stores in Connecticut are very happy for him. Locally here, the Marlins have started 3-0, and they've got a chance to start 6-0 because they are starting with two of the worst teams I've ever seen over the last 2 years.
No, he's right.
I'm not trying to diminish the Marlins' best start in 17 years. The way they won yesterday was cool and exciting, and they haven't started. They've only started 3-0 three times in their history. They've won 2 championships. They've only started 3-0 3 times in their history, and the last time they did it was 2009. So doing it against anybody matters, but now they have the White Sox, and I'm not kidding you when I say the White Sox 2 years ago and Colorado last year are 2 of the worst baseball teams I've ever seen. They've got them at home. They have a chance to start 6-0 because those are terrible teams. The White Sox lost all 3 games this weekend, correct, to Milwaukee? They gave up like 8 runs yesterday in the 8th inning to lose.
Yeah, but they got that Japanese guy, though, Dan.
Ooh, Munetaka Murakami. He's a stud. He's hit a homer in all 3 games, but they're going to waste his career because the White Sox are a disaster. Marlins probably going to start with 2 series wins, might be 5-1, might be 6-0, and then they head to the Yankees in New York. That'll be a fun little weekend series.
Do you guys miss the days when Interleague was like a special thing that happened like deep into the season? Like, guys, we're going to have NL teams play AL teams. Like, oh! Now it's just like, your 3rd series of the year, you're playing the Yankees? You've cheapened it.
Yeah, the Yankees starting in San Francisco was a little odd. Jeremy, I don't know if we're at the point yet with the Marlins where we can just start counting games as dubs, but it was a really exciting weekend, and yeah, they've had a friendly schedule here, but especially when it comes to you forecasting wins, given what we saw yesterday from the Miami Heat, I'm not sure we can do that.
What? I really don't know what you're talking about.
We'll get to them in a second. And we will talk about that loss. That game was 79-75 at the half. It wasn't that long ago that the Heat were playing the Knicks in games that was the final score in. Playoff overtime? Games. 79-75 in overtime. That was the score yesterday at the half. But I want to talk about what Owen Cassie did yesterday because the Marlins ended up being...
It's Casey, budding superstar. Just you know.
I want to talk about what he did to end the game because he does a walk-off homer, and I know all of his nicknames because Tommy Hutton gave me all of his nicknames in trying to search for the emotion of talking about what the walk-off sounded like. But let's go through some calls here from announcers in both languages talking about how that game ended with a walk-off homer. They had nobody on base. They got a double because Sanoa ends up hitting a ball in the gap, and the left fielder takes a bad track on it, and then they get a home run to end the game. But let's hear some of these calls.
He's trying to salvage the series. Casey swings. Casey hits it in the air. Casey to deep right. We're going home!
The rest of that, you'll hear them go, the Maple Masher, the Big Canadian, Big Red. Is he an OG? Is he a ginger? Does he classify it?
Oh, no, yeah. He's a ginger.
Okay. Maybe the
Max Meyer, half ginger.
Interesting.
Casey, ginger.
Casey might be the second greatest left-handed hitting ginger of all time behind Freddie Freeman.
1-0 pitch. Casey launches high in the air at the right. It is gone! You can't make this up! The Maple Masher secures the sweep! And for the first time since 2009, the Marlins start a year 3-0!
How do you guys feel about the Maple Masher as a nickname?
Oh, that's a good one, Dan.
I don't think that the group. Look at Amin's face. Does Amin's
You don't like
face,
Maple Masher?
Does Amin's face give off to you that he thinks that's a good nickname?
It's a placeholder. Like, I like it as like, okay, this is what we'll do for now until we find something better. Big Canadian, terrible.
How do you like Big Red?
My daughter said baby ginger.
He's giant.
Ginger Spice?
That's what she called him, so that's what I'm calling
But
him.
why baby ginger?
Because he's a young kid. He just came up.
Also, it's a child that came up with it. Like, let's not. Oh, that's terrible. She'll never do copy for us.
There's something about college hoops this time of year where you tell yourself you're just going to casually watch one game, and suddenly your entire night is gone. That happened to me the other night. I was planning to stay home and keep a game on in the background, maybe pretend I wasn't checking scores every 5 minutes. Then a text comes in. We've got multiple screens set up. That's how they get you. So I said, yeah. I grabbed a pack of Miller Lite on the way. A little while later, nobody's casually watching anything. Somebody's yelling because their bracket is already cooked. Somebody else suddenly cares deeply about a school they hadn't thought about in 10 years. And a game that looked over is somehow tied late. You take a sip, you look around, and realize, yeah, this was absolutely the right move. That's why I reach for a Miller Lite. It's clean, refreshing, easy to drink, brewed for taste with simple ingredients. The original light beer since 1975, and still hitting different. Cheers to legendary moments with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Hey, Roy, buddy.
Yo.
You know that energy shift when the game gets good and everybody, all together, in unison, knows to stand up on their feet?
Oh, absolutely, Mike.
Yeah, you've been at many big-time sporting events. You know that moment quite well. That's what it's like when you take your first sip of Cuervo.
Oh, delicious.
It's the signal that says, we're not checking the time anymore, pal. It's when small talk turns into stories. Cuervo, man, it's that high-five a random stranger effect. That's right. The game is popping. You're hugging people you never met before. That's the kind of energy that Cuervo brings. It's so smooth, so delicious. That's the Cuervo effect. Keep it Cuervo.
America leads the world in medicine development. It matters. We get new medicines first, nearly 3 years faster. 5 million Americans go to work because we make medicines here at home. And not relying on other countries keeps us safe. But China is racing to overtake us. Will we let them, or will we choose to stay ahead? When America leads, America cures. Let's tell Washington to keep us in the lead.
Learn how at americacures.com. Paid for by Pharma.
Don Le Batard. But it's just his titties are sitting on the shelf that is his belly.
Stugotz. He said titties, and it just like shocked me a little bit. I wasn't quite prepared for titties.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Mike Ryan mentioned the San Francisco Giants and the Yankees playing. Are you aware that in the history of baseball, there has not been a more anemic start to an offensive season than what the Giants did against the Yankees? The Yankees' rotation is going to be good this year, but the Giants got shut out in the first two games and had fewer than 10 base runners, and then had an outburst on the third day. They had a run. They got a run. That's the worst. That's the worst the season's ever started offensively for a team to start with a couple of shutouts. And they got their first two base runners of the season on. And then the rest of the time, they got nobody else on base.
It's crazy to think that they had the worst weekend offensively when the White Sox became the first team in baseball history to strike out 20-plus times and lose by double digits on opening day to the Brewers. 20-plus strikeouts on opening day.
Let me hear the call in a different language.
Los Marlins no se dan por vencidos. Suéname el gallo, por favor. Ya se prepara otra vez. El empate está en segunda. Lanzamiento, le tira y saca un batazo alto largo por el right field. Que sí, que no, que no, que sí. Adiós, mamacita linda. Home run de Owen Casey.
The rooster sound in the middle of that.
I was like, that was confused.
He asked for that.
Apparently, Tony says in the sound he asked for it.
He does ask for it, but if he had not asked for it, I would have accused everybody involved there of racism, just for throwing a rooster into the call to make it just a little bit cheaper.
It's something that I would imagine that they do on The Simpsons, where the Spanish bumblebee is calling the game, right? He just have a rooster right there, and then he call it, and then it would make the sound.
It confused Jeremy and I before the show. We're like, wait, is this like someone's editing this in?
It's a drop.
I don't want to get too serious here with something that people really have fun with, but to have as the greatest form of Hispanic representation anywhere, not in sports media, but anywhere on national television, be Jimmy Kimmel's sidekick. Guillermo's role. What do you mean? That's
not the height of Spanish representation.
That is the height. It's certainly on late night.
Mario Lopez exists, man. We live in a world with Mario Lopez.
I mean, do we not have a month's worth of Super Bowl halftime discourse? I don't think Guillermo's moving the needle the same way.
Andy
as
Garcia's
Benito.
been on the show 27 times.
What about Domino?
I'm talking about daily television show, again, network television, the stuff we were talking about with Dukes of Hazzard being on 1 out of 3 American televisions at one point. Network television still matters. I know we're trying to eradicate it, but it hasn't given up it has not given up its strength just yet.
We get one more Dukes of Hazzard reference for the rest of the year, so let's be judicious.
That is not my voice. That is your voice talking to me, telling me what to do.
Kids, man. We gotta reach these kids.
I will be happy to let the inner monologue speak for me as soon as it starts representing my thoughts instead of yours. Like if you
stop talking to me.
I'm not going to stop talking to you. I'll stop talking to you.
I don't even speak for you. I speak for the
well,
audience.
then get a different voice to do that. I don't want to argue with my inner monologue when it's not behaving as my
Smokey
inner
and the
monologue.
Bandit killed.
Dan's on the street corner right now, just having an argument by himself.
The inner monologue voice has to be
the Guillermo thing was
my secret thoughts, not you speaking for the audience. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's the inner monologue is my private doubts and thoughts. That is not just you saying whatever you want about Dukes of Hazzard. Telling me I've got a rule as to how many more times I can reference it the rest of the year. That's not my voice. I can reference it as much as I want. It's the first television show I ever watched.
You're out.
I'm not out. You don't decide this.
How did we land on Dukes of Hazzard as a topic for today?
Hey, you be easy. You get 2 more.
Is it because Duke lost? Is that why?
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, you saw Duke lost and you were like, oh, remember that show? How quaint.
What a hazard that was to let that guy shoot that 3. Wait
He's a writer.
Duke, hazard.
It's going to be a first take, like bottom third this morning.
100%.
It is now.
The Miami Heat have been playing bad defense for a couple of weeks when they haven't played bad defense in years. And I want to ask you guys a serious question about this. Did they break Bam by making him play that way? Like if we're load managing everybody and we're making everybody be careful with their bodies and he misses a game when he never misses a game for his calves and They have limits. I mean, you know this, right? This is a bit of a science. There are reasons that nobody plays 48 minutes a game unless it's in the playoffs, and there are reasons that nobody plays an entire second half. It's because the human body's limits make it so that they've deduced in basketball that there are diminishing returns when somebody gets so tired that they're playing all the time. So we'll never again have Wilt Chamberlain's number of playing all the minutes in a game. But I'm serious when I ask, there is no explicable reason that the Miami Heat would suddenly be bad at defense for the first time in 15 years. And the last 2 weeks, they have been as bad at defense as all the teams that are trying not to win, that are purposely tanking.
I wish I trotted this take out there, but you remember how like Bobby Abreu's production was never the same after that home run derby because he just fell in love with swinging for the fences. I thought to myself, I'm like, this is so random for Bam to be this guy, number 2 in a single game. And he's like, his whole thing is unselfish basketball. I was wondering if him going for 83 would mess with him any kind of tiny bit. And it's as good a theory as I guess any right now, is that, he kind of maxed out right there, and it's taken him a while to get back to that rhythm.
The previous theory is always, well, Tyler Hero's back and they're hunting him, and when he's on the court, they tend to be worse at defense.
I get that too, but you look at the box score. Somebody named Kobe Brown had 18 points, and somebody named Micah Potter had 21 points.
You're messing with me.
He crushed them in the first half.
Micah Potter was
he made everything.
And he had nothing to do with Tyler Hero because he's 6'11".
That game was 79-75 at the half. Indiana, their demise has been precipitous. Do they have the most injury minutes logged, or the games lost to injury of anybody in the sport? To go from the finals to as bad as they are, I mean, you have to chalk that up to injury.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's not just that Halliburton's out for the year. They started the year, everybody's hurt. Nembhard, McConnell, Siakam, they were all out. And that really laid the groundwork for what could have been a season of, hey, we're going to scrap and we're going to fight, to, guys, there's nothing left here. The crazy thing is, I think they're number 1. I know Oklahoma City's up there too, believe it or not. The best team in the league has been one of the most injured teams this year.
Pacers should be fine, though. Like what they did at the deadline.
They're great.
It kind of reminds me of, like, remember that year David Robinson got hurt and just the Spurs were terrible, and it ended up with Tim Duncan.
That was.
Yeah, and then they just went on their 20-year run. I think the Pacers are built for a long time.
Then they fired Bob Hill, who was a really good coach, but they were losing because they're bad. And let's get Bob Hill out of here. And then their general manager became the coach. Remember his name? What was his name? Something Popovich. Greg, I think. Greg Popovich.
Charlotte got exposed a little bit over the weekend, I would say, when Boston goes in there without Jaylen. That was without Jaylen Brown, right? Boston goes in there and smokes them. And also the 76ers went in there at something resembling full health and also beat Charlotte. I would say that nobody in the playoffs wants to see Charlotte or Atlanta. But you always want to see
You're
Charlotte.
messing with me.
You always
Are you guys doing a thing?
No,
I haven't been watching
Atlanta's
basketball.
like 16-2. They're
Making
like
up
18
names.
games.
Red hot Atlanta.
The Hornets, look, again, I know it sounds trite and overdone, but again, I will point out, look at their roster. Tell me who there comes with sage wisdom and clutch playmaking in a playoff situation. None of them. They're a bunch of children. And they're fun and they're exciting, and man, I can't wait to see where this goes. But they're going to go into the playoffs, and they're going to play a team, either the Pistons or the Celtics or the Knicks, and they're going to find out, like, oh, wow, there's another level of basketball above what we've been doing.
That's wild. Like, Celtics is one thing, but for you to give Detroit wizened playoff status, or for you to even give the Knicks wizened playoff status, even though I know they played for 2 years, they played meaningful games in the playoffs, it is a little crazy for you to cite those teams as the veteran playoff team.
Dan, they were an insane shot that went to the scoreboard and backed down against the Pacers from going to the NBA Finals. Like, they would have won that game, there's a good chance they win the East and they go into the NBA Finals. Like, they're super battle-tested.
Also, a guy with $7 still has more money than a guy with none. Like, that's, you only got $7. Like, you're broke. You got zero. That's what the Hornets are. They got zero. And this is going to be a nice learning experience for them in the playoffs. Now, Atlanta, different story. Atlanta's got some guys. Atlanta's got some vets. And Atlanta, we can tie their turnaround to a very specific event on the calendar, which is they got one guy up out of there, and they brought in a couple of veterans who've been around the block, and this has changed basically what we're seeing from them. Quinn Snyder is an experienced coach. He's been around the block. Versus Charles Lee, this will be his first playoff as a head coach. Like all of these things add up, and I know people don't want to believe it. You want to say what I see on a Tuesday night in March weighs more than what I've seen on a Saturday night in April. But it's real. It is a real thing where if you haven't gone through it as a group, like not like, a couple of our guys are untested. As a group, we haven't gone through it.
The thing that I'm laughing at, and you're not wrong in anything you're saying, but what I'm laughing at is after going all in with the playoff experience of the Knicks and Pistons, you then hit me in the face with battle-tested Quinn Snyder as a playoff coach.
I mean, Quinn Snyder been to the playoffs how many times? In Utah and Atlanta.
And loses almost every time I can remember. His experience is losing in the playoffs, like all the time.
What's winning in the playoffs for you?
I mean, Boston is the one tested team. And I'll say the Knicks. I will also say the Knicks because the Knicks over the last 2 years, it's not much of a sample, but over the last 2 years, they've done more winning than they did in the previous 20 combined. So the Knicks count.
But I'm not asking
Philadelphia would count too,
I'm not asking for examples. I'm asking you what qualifies as playoff success for you?
You got to get out of the second round. For me, yeah, and Philly does not count.
So,
they are famous failures.
Okay, but Paul George's experience in the playoffs is not unlike Quinn Snyder's experience.
Paul George made it to an Eastern Conference final. The whole thing about the process is it hasn't netted an appearance into the conference final.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, I would rather have a guy who's been to the playoffs 7 times and won and lost, right? Won games, lost games, won series and lost series, than a guy who's never done it before, because there's a part of this where you just don't know. Like these people just don't know what's waiting them. And obviously Charles Lee has been assistant coach on some very good staffs, and so he's been in the playoffs before. But it's different when you move over those 6 inches and sit in that different seat, and now you're the one who's got to make the calls. You're the one who's got to call the timeouts or say we're pressing here or say, hey, we're not fouling up through, whatever. It's a lot different than when you're just sitting there and giving suggestions with a clipboard.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
Spring starts at the Home Depot, and we are bringing the heat to your backyard this season. Fire up the flavor with our wide variety of grills for under $300, like the Next Grill 4-burner gas grill that's perfect for hosting your spring cookout. Then set the scene and turn your outdoor space into the go-to spot with patio sets for every budget. Bring it this season with grills that deliver flavor and patios that set the vibe from the Home Depot. Start your spring with low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Your little one grew 3 inches overnight. Adorable. Also, expensive. Sell their pint-sized pieces on Depop and list them in minutes with no selling fees. Because somewhere, a dad refuses to pay full price for the clothes his kids will outgrow tomorrow. And he's ready to buy your son's entire wardrobe right now. Consider your future growth spurt budget secured. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Don Le Batard.
Punctuate this segment with what is your strike 3 call.
Well, strike 1 would be strike, and then you stand up and you give a good point to the right.
Stugotz.
That's same for strike 2. But strike 3, you get down low, you got your hands behind the catcher. All right, the right arm goes up into the air. Yeah, and then you finish it with the punch. The right arm flings way up into the air. Yeah.
I wish I could see that. It's terrible. The audio's great.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
What do you do with the fact that the Miami Heat have all of this playoff-tested stuff that you would like to cite as experience that matters. I would not like their chances right now against Charlotte. I would not like their chances against Atlanta. And I do not like what they're doing defensively after they've told us for the last 2 weeks, we're going to learn from this. This is a serious time. We all know that we don't want to be a play-in team. And now they've lost, what is it now, 7 out of 8? We said that we had 7 games to test them, and they lost all but one of them. And then as soon as they won the Cleveland game, Cleveland eradicated them with another one of those 50. We're going to be up by 50 points and hit you in the head, and you're going to have no chance against us come playoff time.
I feel like I have to make this clear because there will be people in the audience saying, yeah, tell them, Dan. Like, talent matters in the NBA. You can't take us and have Spo coach us, the 8 people in this room, and we'll fight. We'll be in the no. Talent matters.
They have 3 All-Stars for whatever that's worth. They have 3 All-Stars.
That's not worth much.
Okay, but I know that Norm Powell is a one-time All-Star. I know that Tyler Hero is a one-time All-Star. Bam Adebayo is a top 20 player in the league? Top 25? Top 20?
Sure, top 25, I'd say. Yeah, but that's like, first of all, Hero and Powell are kind of, they negate each other, right? Because of the aforementioned redundancies between the two of them. But then on top of that, like when you look at the overall structure of this team, you still got guys like Pelle Larsson playing major minutes. Again, that's great. He's played well, but at the same time, it's like it says a lot that guy can come in and immediately work his way to being a starter. When you look at some of these other teams and the talent level that they're starting with, it's much higher. It's the same story I've been talking about for since 2022, whatever. Like the Miami Heat are roster built on, we've got to do everything right in order to have a chance to win the game.
Okay, but one of the things that we have been saying for the better part of 4 or 5 years now is some form of they have to get a player better than Bam, and then they got Jimmy Butler, who was better than Bam, and then we said they've got to get a player better than Jimmy Butler. What you're presently saying is giving credence to what Ethan Skolnick of 5 Reasons Sports says when he sees them play the Spurs, and he says Miami doesn't need 1 player. They need 3.
Yeah, depth would hurt.
He's not talking about depth. He's talking about in order to compete
3
with San
players
Antonio,
better than Bam?
better than to be what San Antonio is, you need to have 3 players that can match their 3 players. And you've got 1 that can play with their 3 guys.
But how do you match a guy who's a generational player? Like, oh yeah, we're trying to get to those guys. It's like, well, they have that guy who's a unicorn.
But what I'm saying to you guys is, do you agree with that assessment? Because if you agree with that assessment, then you're woefully, painfully behind in a way that can't be overcome.
So let me put it this way. If Stephon Castle played in Miami, he would be the what player for them? Best, second best? Where would he rank?
The best or the second best, depending on how you measure the defense of Bam.
He wouldn't be the best. He'd be the second best. Tony. We
talked about it.
We're both Castle guys.
You're both Castle guys, and he's got that's a good system for him. It's very Miami-like. Yes. But when I see what happened with Strus and Gabe Vincent, and furthermore, when I see where Bam and Tyler Hero were drafted and what they became, and that this guy was drafted top 5, not top 15, top 5. Mm-hmm. Like he's a more skilled player based on the value of how they do. How all the teams could have selected anyone they wanted, and Castle is somebody who was viewed as somebody more valuable as a skill set than both Bam and Tyler Hero.
Again, I would say that if he came to the Heat, he would not be their best player. Neither would De'Aaron Fox. Neither would anyone on the Spurs roster not named Victor Wembanyama. That's the only guy who's like, oh yeah, he's clearly better. So you can't tell me, oh, the Heat need 3 players. If we're saying, hey, if you can get me someone better than Bam, so Bam doesn't have to be your number 1, you're already in a good position. Damn, Jimmy Butler had them in conference finals every other year.
It's not overly complicated what's happening in the Miami Heat. We saw, even though they made it to the finals twice, to win a championship, they needed a player better than Jimmy Butler when Jimmy Butler was on the roster with Bam Adebayo. So they need to add a Jimmy Butler and a player that's better than Jimmy Butler to get to the places that this franchise always claims it wants to go to.
I think if in Denver... Oh, man, I don't know how good of a player you would have to add because of Jokic. But I wonder if Tyler Hero was the current Tyler Hero back then, Would that have made a difference? Maybe. Maybe that series wouldn't be as lopsided as it was. Same thing in the bubble. If those guys were healthy, I wouldn't even say, hey, give me a different version. Give me healthy guys, and I would have given them a chance. And that's one of the examples, Dan, where you're like, hey, we're not as talented as them, but maybe our coaching can close that gap.
The bubble was interesting because it's the best Anthony Davis has ever shot in his life. Like, the reason the Miami Heat lost that series beyond not having Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo available is that was Anthony Davis shooting like 40% from three that entire bubble?
I believe it was
experience?
95%.
Hey, don't forget about Jay Crowder, though. Jay Crowder was amazing.
So good.
Miami was just top to bottom deeper too. Look, it's the same thing. Like they're not good enough. This is usually, I get jealous hearing you talk about Charlotte and Atlanta because this is usually the point in the calendar where Heat fans start talking about the Heat that way. They're rounding in a form. You don't want to play this team coming out of the play-in. They're going to do it again, and they're not in that conversation right now. They seem like they got a long way to go.
The funny part about this roster versus years past is this is like a really young roster, and they actually have more upside talent than they've had in several seasons. The problem is that upside talent is young and very inconsistent. Kel'el Ware and Kasper Siakachonis are really talented young kids who were just first-round picks, but Kel'el Ware from one game to the next is an entirely different player. His impact defensively and offensively is entirely different from one night to the next. You have Pelle Larsson playing those minutes because he's an experienced guy who played several years in college and doesn't make mistakes. Right. But Norman Powell is an overachiever, right? An overachiever who's an all-star this year, in part because of what the first 15 games were for this team when they were catching teams off guard offensively. And now him and Tyler really equal one all-star because each of them are in and out of the lineup, and they're not all-stars when they're on the floor together. So you have a team that is more talented and younger than it's been in years past, but their inconsistency, particularly defensively, becomes the paramount issue.
I know this would have taken a lot of guts and a lot of cojones, but why didn't they try and move Powell at the deadline knowing that they had max value on him? And then on the backside, it's like, what are you going to do to try? You already got Tyler. You can't keep Powell knowing that they're the same guy. Why not maximize value there?
It was a transition year. I mean, the reality is this team started hotter and gave people hope off the top, and Norman Powell's a free agent.
Yeah,
he's a free agent, and you go into next season where you have Norman Powell as a free agent that you say gets something. A sign and trade is a possibility with Norman Powell to get him somewhere else and get you either assets or another player that is strong where you're moving for a player that makes more sense with your roster. You'll have Hero on an expiring contract. If Andrew Wiggins opts in, which you expect at $30 million, he's an expiring contract. The whole narrative going into this season was hold on for a year because this upcoming offseason, you'll have more assets than you've ever had in terms of draft picks over the last 15 years, and you'll have more cap flexibility. It's just the disappointment of that 7-game win streak, people like me getting all hyped up, and then now you've seen it come crashing.
Even without like this big picture planning, Norman Powell as an impending free agent, not quite as like asset heavy a return because everyone's like, well, what if he leaves, right? So
you don't think you can get a first-round pick for him as a final piece somewhere so that you can strengthen your offseason package because you have more picks? We were told that they would that Giannis would stay in Milwaukee because Miami would have more to offer this offseason. You don't believe that they could have lured a number one for an All-Star?
Not at the trade deadline, no.
What worth does being an All-Star have if that can't get you a first-round pick for an All-Star, for a contender looking for scoring and a final piece?
This is the hard part. You know, when I worked in a front office, we didn't care about stuff like that. We cared about the player. We evaluated the player. What does he do? How does he help us? What needs does he address of ours? Whether he was an all-star or not, that's for the press conference. Maybe that's to sell to your owner. So I remember when we traded Boris Diaw and Raja Bell for Jason Richardson and Jared Dudley. And we had to sell him on Jared Dudley. We're like, this guy's going to help us. I don't know, because he just never heard of Jared Dudley. So he's just like, I don't know. But like the thing that pushed the deal over the finish line for us was, and Jason Richardson is a dunk contest champion. And for our owner was like, wow, so that means at parties I can say, this guy's a dunk contest. Like, that was all it was about. But, like, in terms of those accolades actually meaning something to us, it doesn't mean
Okay, I mean, though, there is a slight difference between dunk champion and all-star.
But it's all just rhetoric, right? Like, unless you're talking about someone who goes to the All-Star game every year. Okay, to me, that's an All-Star. Unless you're talking about someone who's All-NBA every year. Okay, that's one of the best players. But if we're talking about someone who had a great year, and Norm Powell had a great year, and he had a great year last year too, probably should have been All-Star last year. But again, if I'm a team that's acquiring Norm Powell, I'm acquiring him for all the basketball reasons and for the needs that he addresses of mine. Not because, like, well, let's see his basketball reference says all-star.
I think he's an all-star the way that Jamal McGlure was an all-star.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, you acquire him, you're like, hey, this guy was an all-star.
Disrespectful. Disrespectful,
to
Michael.
McGlure?
To Dan's point about getting a piece, if you're a team that's a piece away and trying to make a trade and try to get a first-round pick, we saw the Thunder trade a first for Jared McCain. And you're going to tell me Norm Powell isn't worth more than Jared McCain?
It's a different thing. You're looking at a young player that is going to continue to grow. You're looking at Norman Powell at 32 years old. If you check out all the rosters of the teams that are contenders, trading a first-round pick when you're not Oklahoma City, who has an overabundance of picks, who's trading for a young player, he's not a guy that most of those teams actually needed, not in the East. And if you look at the West, shooting guard, there are so many scores.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's like Oklahoma City has a plethora of picks, so giving up picks wasn't a big thing for them. They have a salary crunch that's coming because all those guys got paid. Jared McCain's on a rookie deal. So he's not only is he young, like, oh, he's young, he can continue to get better. It's like, he's on a rookie deal. We've got him for 2 more years at a very reasonable price. Norm Powell is looking to get paid this offseason.
Mike Ryan, please find for me Jamal McGlure's best season, his All-Star season. Did he average 14 points a game that season?
We're not going to invoke that name here.
There were no centers available that season, and you just did Norm Powell dirty by mentioning Jamal McGlure.
You're doing Jamal McGlure dirty.
What? Give me that All-Star season that Jamal McGlure had. What kind of point totals was he putting up that season?
13.6 points per game and 10.3 rebounds.
Oh, he averaged a double-double.
What you're doing is wrong.
The big cat.
You guys are all disrespectful right now, but there's no one more disrespectful in the room than Dan Le Batard, because you just reminded me. You once called Demolition Man Jamal McGlure.
Yeah,
and I will never
of action movies.
I will never forgive you
of action movies. Demolition Man put up 14 points and 12 rebounds.
The hell it did.
One season. Jamal McGlure. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Should Jamal McGlure's nickname have been the Medium Cat?